The handstand push-up might be one of the most difficult skills to learn in CrossFit. This is because you need three things. You need the confidence to be upside down. You need the skill and coordination to use the momentum of the hips. And you need the strength to be able to push yourself up into the handstand. If you want to learn the handstand push-up, then stick around because we're going to work on all those aspects in this skill session. There are two inverted positions in the handstand push-up. You are in a headstand and you are in a handstand. And to build confidence to be upside down, we're going to practice both. In the first exercise, you're going to practice the headstand, just to be on the head with the right position and core tension. We're going to place an ab mat close to the wall. You're going to stand on the head with your hips leaning to the wall. Try to be in an upright position right away and also try to have your neck in a straight line. So you don't want to have your head on the forehead because then your neck is in an angle, but really on the middle, on the top of your head. Now we're going to play around a bit in this headstand position. We're going to try to move our legs to an extended position. We're not going to lift our head or press up, not yet. Just stay on the head and extend your legs and tuck them back in. Once we move to an extended position, our heels press into the walls and our hips are away from the wall. You're going to practice this a couple times. First, find the right position, then extend and tuck your legs around 10 times, 2 sets. The next step in practicing the headstand is to practice without the wall. You're going to move your ab mat away from the wall, but we're going to stay close just in case. You might think this is a bit scary, but it will really help you to build confidence upside down and to help you find balance in the headstand. We're going to kick up the same way with our hips right above the head, but we're going to place our hands a bit further in front of the ab mat to create a triangle position. This will help you creating balance and stability. Without the wall, it's getting more important to find the right tucked position. Keep your knees close to the chest so you don't lean forward or backwards too much because then you will fall. In this one as well, if you have found the balance and you feel comfortable enough to play around with your leg position, we're going to extend and tuck our legs again. If this is going great and you're ready for the next step, you can play around a bit more with different leg positions. In the handstand push-up, the goal is to get to handstand, so we also need to practice the handstand and build confidence in that one. We're going to practice handstand against the wall. The most important thing with handstands is to keep your arms straight. As long as you keep your arms straight, there's really nothing that can happen because you will always fall to your feet. We're going to practice the kick up into a handstand. And the first step is going to be placing your hands on the floor and kicking up with 2 feet at the same time. This is a bit more difficult actually than kicking up from a standing position, but it's less scary. If you're comfortable in kicking up like this, we're going to practice kicking up from a standing position. If you're having trouble with this and you think it's really scary, then the best way to progress is to start with small jumps, getting a bit higher and a bit higher every time until you reach the wall. In the handstand position, be aware that only your feet can be against the wall, nothing else. No legs, no hips, no back. Before we progress to handstand push-ups, you want to be able to maintain a good solid handstand against the wall for at least 30 seconds. Alright, now let's work on the skill and coordination side of the handstand push-up. The most difficult part is using the hips and legs in the right way to create momentum upwards to help you in the push-up. First, we're going to do a similar exercise like we just did in headstand practice, but now we're going to move with a bit more intent and a bit more speed. You're going to stay in headstand with your hips leaning against the wall. We go from tuck to extended position, tucked, extended. We're not going to press or lift our head or anything like that, but we're going to move with intent. We can also practice the right hip movement on the floor. So we're not on our head or inverted, we're just lying on our backs with our knees tucked. From here you're going to open your hips as if you are jumping over a hurdle. You're not pushing your feet into the floor, you are kicking your hips up. You are opening the hips that will create an upwards momentum. And because we are practicing for the handstand push-up, you can also mimic the push-up movement with your arms. Now we're going to combine those two exercises into the handstand push-up practice. First, we're going to practice from an elevated position. So you're going to elevate your ab mat by putting some plates underneath. I prefer a stack of plates underneath your ab mat over multiple ab mats on top of each other, because then it will be a bit wobbly and that's a bit scary with your neck. From this elevated position, we're going to tuck the knees and open the hips like we just practiced on the floor. And when you do this with enough power, with enough tension, you will feel you will have created upwards momentum and it will help you going up. Now it's time for the shoulders to get into action to finish with a pushing movement to get into the handstand. If you can do 5 unbroken handstand push-ups from this elevated ab mat, we're going to lower the ab mat. You're going to remove some plates and you're going to go lower and lower till you only have 1 ab mat. If you can do 10 unbroken handstand push-ups with only 1 ab mat, it's time to try RX without any ab mat or elevation. Try not to kick your feet away from the wall, but open the hips so you kick your feet upwards. You need to go up. The last important aspect of a handstand push-up is, of course, strength. Strength in our shoulders, strength in our arms, and overhead strength in general. We're going to practice with 3 exercises. First, we're going to practice with push-ups. Regular push-ups on the feet or, if necessary, on the knees, where you stay very tight, squeeze the legs tight and have shoulders down, chest forward. Another good way to scale the push-ups, if you want to stay on the feet, is to use a band inside the rig. Use the band underneath your hips and it will help you to stay tight and keep the hips off the floor. Try to make 3 sets of 10 push-ups on the feet or on the knees. Next one is a pike push-up. This is a really good one to work on our overhead position and overhead pushing strength. The pike in itself is quite a difficult position because it requires some hamstring flexibility and overhead mobility. So really focus on being in a good pike position. From this position, you're going to lower the head to the floor in front of the hands. Then you push yourself back up in that diagonal line. We can scale this by also grabbing a band, place it into the rig a bit higher than with regular push-ups, because we really want to assist our hips being in that high pike position. Try to do 10 pike push-ups for 2 sets. Really focus on the quality of movement here. Try to move from pike with your heads in front of the hands. Try not to rush it. I prefer you do less reps from a good pike over multiple reps in sort of push-up position. The last strength exercise is strict handstand push-up. From a handstand position, you're going to lower your head to an ab mat and push up back to handstand. This one we can also practice with an elevated position first, so elevated ab mat. Try to practice the practice until you can do 5 unbroken. If you can do 5 unbroken with good tension, you're going to remove a plate, have a lower ab mat, try again. And this you repeat and repeat until you are only using 1 ab mat without any plates. If you could do 5 or preferably 10 unbroken now, you are ready for the RX movement without any ab mat. It's very important to stay as tight as you can. When you lower the head and when you push back up, try to stay tight. Don't arch the back, don't look up with your head, but really tight. Alright, this was a lot of information about the handstand push-up. I hope it will help you forward and it will get you started to work on this skill. Remember, you have to practice a lot and you will see small progressions over time. It can take up to months before you master this movement, but you just have to get started.